everyone today. I'm a humble Riptide, a humble bug hunter and host of Bounty Hunters podcast, and great to be here today in Bulgaria, the great country of Bulgaria. So, topic today with these three esteemed experts is how do we bring the next 1 trillion on chain? And that kind of encompasses everything from grandma to JP Morgan to everyone. Because right now, the narrative over the last, year, 2 years has been, we're going to have everyone on chain, institutions are coming. Well, they're finally here, everyone's here. Everyone's talking about RWAs, everyone's talking about blockchain, crypto, the president's talking about of America. It's here, so it's growing. And our space is not secure enough. I think we all can agree that we have a lot of work to do with security. I think the metrics speak for themselves with, I think it's 22% of all hacks in crypto are from smart contract vulnerabilities. And the majority of the rest is from private key compromise, through phishing, or just mishandling of private keys, malware installs. So we have so many security problems that we can't really be taken seriously as an industry with these kind of issues. So I want to discuss a few points and ask these experts here kind of their opinions on what we could do to help secure this on chain. So number one, I'd like to talk to Andrei about this question to you is, as far as Certora goes, auditing goes, protocols are out there, they have a project and they say, hey, we need an audit, we need this secured. There's an audit scope, and there's an audit scope. In my issue, a problem with that audit scope is it's not comprehensive enough. So what do you think about that, and what do you think should be mandatory as part of an audit scope?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So sometimes projects want to audit the core logic because they want to, let's say, wisely use their resources when it comes to audits and so forth. But that's not enough, and in my opinion, there are a lot more things that should be expanded to in order for that audit to be comprehensive and for the project to be secured, in my opinion. So what we do at Certora is we advise people to include things such as deploy scripts, which are very important in that aspect, different kinds of integrations with protocols they might have, even interfaces. So from that perspective, those things, even though they might seem minor, they are really important when it comes to securing the whole protocol and not just the core logic. So, yeah.
What do you think about adding like fuzzing to? Would you consider that to be, because I'm thinking like we need some sort of standard where it should be a minimum that's covered.
Got it.
And I don't know what that is.
So absolutely. First and foremost, the job of a security researcher is to push the boundaries of a project to make sure that all those edge case critical scenarios are covered. There are no critical exploitation scenarios that might happen due to that. For that to be the most effective work done by the security researcher, the protocol needs to cover all of the happy paths within the project, have 100% unit testing, end-to-end tests. Fuzzing is a great alternative, as you mentioned as well. So that the security research in that aspect can focus on things such as those, like I said, edge case scenarios that really push the boundaries.
Okay.
So if I have to mandate a standard, it would be definitely, besides like expanding the audit scope, it would be 100% test coverage, end-to-end tests, and fuzzing is also always a great addition.
Yeah, I think it's such a hard thing to try to capture all of the bugs and then staying within the constraints of time and money from the client and try to deliver a product at the end that you could be proud of and say, hey, this is secure, this is Certora, we did this, and we're proud of it, and we think you can deploy on chain.
Yeah, especially, and that's why I mentioned the testing part, because like if you cannot outsource security, like every protocol needs to own security from day one. You need to build with security in mind, you need to build with basically every step of the way. So for that security to be effective and for the security research team to do its job, you have to make sure that there are no like little obstacles along the way that like basic integration bugs and stuff like that that will just trump that audit scope during that fixed review time, like you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Next thing I want to discuss is, so we talk about the back end, we'll talk about more about that, but there's also the front end, which is where most users interact with. They go to the website, interact with the dApp, and whatever happens out of that. So, Faizan, you're the man, you're the king of front end. What are we doing wrong with front end security that we need to improve?
Yeah, so one of the biggest issue that I think it is, as someone who is working on the Web 2 side of the Web 3, because I mainly do dApp audits, is the scope. Like when we do an audit of a dApp application, the team usually says, okay, only this is in the scope. Other than that, everything that is third-party related, it's out of scope. And attackers and hackers usually target that aspect. They target the integrations, they target the things like DNS poisoning. As we have seen in the past few years, DNS cache issue was very common. And now we are seeing that hacking the pupil is kind of become very common. So I think the biggest thing, obstacle we face is the integration. And in the front end, a lot of, you can say, JavaScript integration and third-party libraries are used. And hackers are finding it way easier to hack those libraries directly instead of hacking the front end itself of the application. Because we can make the front end secure, but we cannot guarantee that the libraries we are using are safe. And that area is, I would say, is very weak in terms of security, and we must work on that thing.
And I think there's two big things here, is Web 3 and Web 2, is this whole out of scope thing. Auditors love, like bug hunters, hackers love this. They look at it and they say, oh, out of scope. And that's the first assets we look at. It's like, okay, out of scope for you, not for me. And same with Web 2. It's like, it's the dumbest thing in the world, and I get it. You got a budget, you got time, you got to scope things. I get that. But we have to find a way to really consider, are these really out of scope? Because if I look at an out of scope asset as a bug hunter or a hacker, I shouldn't be able to, it should be pointless, right?
Yeah, I mean, when hackers look at a website, they don't look at what is out of scope or what is in scope. So this is one of the main things that we should consider, and we should give more importance to it. That's what I would say.
And this is another thing that should be in scope, is the biggest thing that I see with Web 2 front ends. You type in balancer, whatever, and boom, the first SEO result is like one character off, and then boom, you get phished. And this is for every DeFi protocol. Like, they've manipulated the results, and I don't know who's doing anything about this, if there's any of the security firms that are doing this, but that should be like number one. Hey, get that ranking off, get that scam site reported. I don't know if this is considered right now.
Yeah, especially if now we are talking about how to secure like $1 trillion on-chain. This is a very important thing, because we know about these things that, okay, this is the correct website, this is not the correct website. But suppose if someone who is 50 years old or 60 years old.
Your grandma's not going to know.
My grandma didn't know about this.
Yeah.
And if she receives an email from a website or a protocol which she has invested in it, she's definitely going to click on it, because she doesn't know about it.
Yeah, that's true. And then Dmytro, I'm going to go to you, because you're the king of HackenProof, CEO. You see all these behind the scene bug bounties. You're dealing with clients, audits. And so I want to ask you more about like total ecosystem security. When these clients are coming to you with bug bounties, they say, hey, look, we think we're secure, but we want to put this out there. Like, what are you seeing on your end as far as their concerns in the market as far as security goes?
Yeah, so, it's a good point where I hear that actually when companies come for the security, they usually say, hey, we exchange, we would like to have trust score at CoinGecko, and someone is calculating for them budget and say, okay, web application penetration cost, testing costing like this, application for us here, and they're like, okay, we need just to cover trust score. We don't need to cover the whole stuff for penetration testing. Same with the bug bounty. So just to understand how bug bounty works, so companies place program on a website, researchers come looking for issue and get money. So usually what we see right now is that we try to push companies to have everything in scope. Because they, for example, can run bug bounty, like 3 million bug bounty, 5, 10, and just doing PR. And when it goes time to pay for this issue, they like, oh, you know, we're not ready to pay 5 millions, and etc. But at the same time, they can lose more. Yeah, for example, exchanges, you can find that, for example, Bitmart, Big One, some B2C Turk, and etc. They lost millions, and a few months ago, they actually were not ready to pay, for example, even, I don't know, 3K per critical issue. But now they're ready to pay 50 millions to back at least 150 millions they lost. Yes, so, and previously we had only bug bounty programs. Now we have recovery funds bug bounty programs, yeah? And the market actually is growing in terms of bug bounty. So what we see also is that when you do penetration testing or when you do audits, it's something or some action when you do one time, yes? But bug bounty is ongoing security, because when you do audits, you then still work with the team on something, you develop something, yes? You not like develop smart contracts and fire the whole team. So same with bug bounty, like I know you actually found many issues, yes, on our platform and try to help companies to protect themselves, yes? And it's more like what they're ready to pay for and how they implement security. So for sure, we advise them to make everything in scope and pay honestly for what they build. Yeah, this is generally what they see. And we also implement some stuff to help them to have integration with even AI, have integration with some applications they use daily and etc. Because many companies, they even pay for on-chain monitoring tools like monthly or actually annually subscription, but never even set up it because like, hey, it's very hard to set up. We bought this license from some company and that's all. That's what's happening right now. And what we see, for example, even with SUI ecosystem, yes, after Cetus case, they tried to push the whole ecosystem for bug bounty, and for last few months, they onboarded 10 plus programs, and they're going to do more. So it seems like ecosystem itself, L1s, they're going to be those companies who actually will push security from their side.
And we need to get this attitude of protocols putting out bug bounties. They need to be honest actors as well. Because I'm deep in the bug bounty space. Guys are white hats trying to earn a living, try to find these bugs. They spend an enormous amount of time looking for these things because of these big bounty payouts. And then what we see a lot of times are dishonest protocols to say, well, that's just really for marketing. This $1 million bounty, and they'll deny bugs, or close it out, or ghost the hunter, or any of these things. I mean, that's something that we could work on to, you know, I don't know if you have any suggestions there, but
you know, sorry for interrupting you. You know that one more issue that I believe everyone right now have is also that companies who actually came for bug bounties and host their programs, they like don't like that researchers submit reports, AI-based reports. You know, there are still some players in our industry, they like generated 100 plus reports and try to submit to each programs, and then companies like, hey, we don't like those bug bounty programs because AI-based reports. But to be honest, among those 100 plus reports, there for sure will be reports where you can lose money.
yeah, I totally agree. And my solution to this, you charge per report, $1, $10 to submit a report. All your AI spam goes down. And my analogy is gas fees. On the blockchain, if you have no gas fees, you have crazy spam. Remember when Polygon launched? It was crazy. People first started seeing like you could just spam the blockchain. Anyway, so also on the topic of what we need to do to bring trillions on chain, I think a big issue is the upgradable patterns. And I wanted your take on this because everyone loves the proxy. Everyone loves it. And when I first got into the blockchain, I was like, oh, immutability, immutability. Everyone talked about it. And there's few protocols that do it. And I think Curve is a good example of this that does it. Uniswap, their model, they deployed V1, immutable, V2, immutable. Everything's immutable, and just go to the next version. What are we doing wrong with proxies, upgradability? Why do clients like it so much? And what do you think about, maybe moving to just a pure immutability model? Would that help?
Okay, so first, as a precaution before I say this, every project needs to take their security seriously. So there are a lot of projects that, from a psychological perspective, think that once you have a proxy, for example, that you can react immediately and deploy a fix and so forth. But that doesn't work always that way because, for example, if you have a threat actor, they're not going to wait for you to deploy your fix. They're going to steal the funds. So that's not the fix in both proxies and immutability. Now, there are different business cases for both, I suppose. But when it comes to immutability, and like you mentioned, why not everything is immutable, I can share a recent example. For example, last month, I believe, there was this protocol, Panoptic, and White Hat reported a critical, and that protocol was immutable, so they had to involve some really like SEAL 911 to rescue the funds on chain and then redistribute them to their rightful owners. So, for example, here is somewhere where immutability kind of has a minus when compared to proxies, but I completely get your point. If you know that something is out there, that something is immutable, maybe you would invest more resources into security, but in my opinion, that has to be in both cases. The only difference between the two needs to be just business-wise, if you need it for some kind of a protocol functionality that you might have to upgrade it later.
But you could pause an immutable contract. You could put certain safeguards in place where it doesn't just have to be, just kind of ride it out there. But I think as far as from a trust perspective, from users and institutions, because we see this a lot with you guys and other audit firms would note these things and about trusted owners, trusted roles, and projects would usually kind of dismiss it like, oh, I have the key, I'm trusted, don't worry about me. But in reality, we see these phishing attacks. I'll give an example with Tapioca, where they went live, they had all the audits, all these lines of code, and it wasn't the code. It was one of the devs was looking for another job, and he gets compromised. And that private key held the keys to the lock. And so I think that's another thing is these trusted roles, that needs to be another level of the security umbrella that we look at, is because these devs are on their own computers doing their personal things, and they're also working on these billion-dollar blockchain projects. And I don't think there's physical audits being done at all. Are you aware of any? Because you'll do Web3 audits, you'll do Web2 audits. Is anyone doing physical security audit? Is there a full multi-sig in the room right now? Probably. These are issues we're not even looking at. We're just this is crypto, but you just can't have this. It's not like grandma's going to say, hey, JP Morgan just got compromised because the multi-sig was in the room, they got kidnapped. So do you have any suggestions on what traditional Web3 firms could do better to kind of, do an all-encompassing total security approach?
Yeah, first, so the human factor is becoming more of an issue as we go, and we have identified, with our partners, very sophisticated threat attempts, not just phishing emails someone sends you and hopes you click on the link, but actually people taking months to prepare to impersonate a possible client or a possible a candidate for a job opportunity in order to infiltrate your organization and possibly do some malicious stuff from there. From a smart contract perspective, first and foremost, there are some impressive examples out there which have automated mechanisms. If you initiate a transaction which is suspicious under some parameters, like the contract is going to pause itself, and they're going to wait for the whole multisig to unpause it if afterwards, like, something was identified as an issue. So that's one problem to solve, and of course, like, definitely operational security needs to be upped, and people need to understand that even though the role is privileged and they can be fully trusted, you know, there are other ways to compromise said actors, like from the protocol devs.
Yeah, true, true. Next I want to ask is AI, right? Getting better and better every month. How can we use this to improve security? And how are you using it to improve security? Can you give me a Web 2 front-end kind of take on this?
Yeah, so I can share some stories. Like, I personally think that AI, we should not rely much on AI, because recently we have seen examples with our clients, like where we do a scope and where we give a timeline for our audit. Our client used to say, like, why are you giving so long timeline? Just use AI and make the process quicker. Sorry. And I think we should not rely much on it, but there are many things that we can improve using AI. One of them is, like, especially in cases like getting an understanding about how things work. And maybe you can use AI for things like that can be automated, like report writing. Or you can use AI for things like reconnaissance, where you have to, like, find, suppose you have, like, you have shortlisted all the list of libraries from the front end, and you want to use AI for, like, okay, these are a list of 50 different libraries that are getting used. What bugs and outdated vulnerabilities these libraries have? We can use AI in those cases. So I think we can use a lot of AI in auditing, but I think the best audits are those which are still manual audits, but we can take help from AI a lot.
But you're not using it right now?
I would say not much. We only use AI for, like, automated stuffs, but other than that, no.
Okay. Any opinions on AI from the Certora front? Is it replacing you any day soon?
Not right now. So we invest actually a lot of R&D resources into developing, like, the right frameworks on how to utilize AI to be an augmented part of the security researcher. So how to best use it to your aid, to discover vulnerabilities, to find them more quickly, or just to flag some things. But it's definitely not right now replacing us in terms of, like, finding those edge case criticals which are contextuals, part of the business logic, and so forth.
I do believe actually is that, I don't know if you develop some projects and you understand how much cost right now audits by firms. But some audits cost more than $1 million, just to understand. And so I believe AI, first of all, will help to reduce costs and find a good bugs for sure. Right now we see that some auditors already have a good AI tools, and they really like shows a good score in terms of finding valid reports. For sure, AI also gives some kind of helps even for our triage team, since actually, just to understand, monthly we have more than 2,000 incoming reports on a platform. And of course, even if we have 10 people who is working on a triage, it's not enough to have everything on time. So AI for sure helping when you have already data sets of huge reports and etc. to validate something as a basic. So for sure, we already rely on AI, but we have to just double check from our side. And I want to say that there are lots of cases when we have a call in the middle of the night, when CEO of some companies is calling and say, Dmytro, we lost money. And the issue was, for example, they hire some guy through WeChat. They have actually some kind of interview. Then he shared his GitHub as working as a part of team for half a year. And he said to me, hey, Dmytro, he did so great his job. We had everything from his side. And just in a few months, they realized that this guy just left, like he decided to change the work, etc. In a few months, he just decided to use all credentials to steal money from the exchange. So for sure, I believe AI might also help with monitoring some stuff where some GitHubs already were used, or maybe some faces, or maybe some biometric stuff were used by bad actors. So to help you to not hire those people to the team, for sure.
All right, last thing I want to finish with, we got about 5 minutes, is there's this incentive issue with bug bounties, right? We have projects that are secured, all these audits, and they put a big bug bounty out there, and then they say they offer $1 million, but then a guy finds a bug and he can exploit it for 10 million. And then they don't know their chance of getting that bug. They don't know if it's 100% if they submit the bug bounty, because they can get it downgraded, this and that. So you have a problem where white hats will go gray hat, or black hats, whatever, and they'll just take the money, and then they wait for the offer of 10% of the hacked amount, which is greater than the bounty, often. And so hack first, ask questions later, has been very common. How do we fix this? This is not good. This is not what we want.
I do agree. If you follow some cases for GMX, I guess, yes, they were hacked, and then actually they offered 10%. I don't remember, it was 5 million or more, yeah, for hackers to back. And it's some kind of behavior that I don't want to see in the market, because in this way, companies shows that, okay, you really can be a bad actors, and then they will state publicly, they say, we will not touch you, we will not apply any legal stuff against you, just back us 90% of what you stole. And in this case, industry just pushing hackers to play like this, for sure. I don't know how to change this. Maybe ask companies to be more responsible, because even when they set up bug bounty, we as players in the middle between hackers and companies, we sometimes like ping team, security team per day twice, 3 times, and they reply in 1 week, you know? And then some guy is appear and say, hey, you know, I'm on a vacation. Please, could you remind me about some issue in 1 week? And we like, hey, man, it's critical. It's critical issue by reputable researchers on the market. Could you please not just reply, but immediately fix this issue? And there also were cases where like companies decided to not fix low issue, and then through those low issue, they were hacked for millions. So when you have some issue from community, especially from guys who is well known in the market, you for sure have to fix them as soon as possible.
All right, so we have a couple minutes. I just want to kind of rehash, because this will get lost in all these talks and no one will know what we actually talked about. So let's quickly rehash. We want to secure the next $1 trillion on chain. How are we doing that? Expanding the mandatory audit scope, right? Including things that aren't included now. So deployment scripts, we want to verify on-chain state after deployment, maybe add fuzzing in there. We want to look at more, when applicable, immutability. People are going to trust something that's immutable rather than a dev can upgrade the proxy that's been phished. Continuous coverage, total coverage umbrella for protocols.
Formal verification.
Yes.
Certora. Moving from more like audit cycles to more continuous monitoring, where we see like ImmuneFi's got this thing, Magnus, different people are exploring this kind of thing. Also using AI to kind of either pre-run the human auditors or run post-human auditors, just to kind of double check everything. Focusing more on the Web 2 front end, phishing vectors, like the real life vectors that affect 90% of the users, probably legit the front end, and I think we don't take that into account enough. Guys like me and you will just look at the contracts, but most people look at the front end. So that's another huge vector we need to secure. And then the last thing, I guess, is is make sure we're asking the right questions and to think like a hacker and not say out of scope. Just think realistically. If you're a black hat, can you hack this or not? So I think we're out of time, guys. But thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you.
guys.